it's a daily moment to come to a job you absolutely love. There are moments in every job, but that's every day to be excited about coming to work is the moment I have. North Colonie is so for children. The one item that has changed in recent years is the dedication to help children before they enter the school district, giving them resources, screening so that when they do arrive, they come with their most positive attitude, with the most knowledge that they could receive at that time.
First of all, we installed indoor plumbing. Finally, we've moved from whale oil to electricity, so that was a real good addition to the classrooms. Making copies from ditto machines to the alpha copying machine has been a pleasure. I don't get ink all over me anymore. Typing from an Underwood typewriter to an Apple and Dell computer has been a big advancement. Attendance cards, now we use the IC, so there's no more cards. 16 millimeter movies, which the tape always broke and split and you had to use Scotch tape to put together. We're now doing DVDs. I remember going to the library and signing up for a TV, and God bless if you didn't get there in time because you were out of luck, especially the day before vacations. And now we have TVs in every room. What a wonder. One phone, that's all we had in the school. One phone, and everybody worked to get it in a certain time. Now I ask the kids today in class who has a phone, they all raise their hands. Everybody's got a phone. The snow chain to no chain. Now we get text. Last year I was the only guy in the snow chain. I didn't realize we changed it. And last but not least, I guess my humor here, we went from a chalkboard to a whiteboard. So, memorable moment, 35 years. There's a lot of them. Unfortunately, a lot of times they came with some hardships maybe beforehand, but the biggest thing I've always noticed about our school community, we've always pulled together when there's been some type of a crisis or issue or event. We've come together in time of needs. There's been a lot of empathy, a lot of people sticking together and helping each other out. Teaching and coaching football here for 17 years was a joy until I moved on to the University of Albany. Going to the playoffs was really a great moment. And just, the impact of the students and the athletes and having an impact on their life. I think that's why we all get into teaching, to have an impact on young people's lives, and I think those were the moments that I cherish.
I don't think I have just one memorable moment. I have a lot of really special moments. And I would say, in addition to working with the staff and the students who have been a pleasure all these years, also my colleagues. I think moments that I've spent with my colleagues, sharing experiences on behalf of the students of North Colonie. I think North Colonie recruits and hires wonderful people, and it's been a pleasure to work with everybody. I think one of the most positive changes that I've seen has been the inclusion of our special needs students more and more into mainstream settings. When I first came, the district was still way ahead of other districts, so I think it's an outstanding district and it's just improved on all of what we've done, but that is one improvement that I think we've made.
Really lucky to be with the people that I work with, as far as on a professional basis. That these mechanics they're top notch. They're the best I've worked with in a long time, and you can always rely on them, always trust them, and they always give you quality work, and they're professionals. One of the biggest changes I have noticed in the 25 years I've been here was when I started working here, the buses were manual shift and they were manual steering, and none of them were air conditioned, and now everything is all automatic transmissions, power steering. Some of our buses have air conditioning, and it's been really a big jump from where it all started to where it is now.
My most memorable moment at Shaker over the past 25 years was the day I realized how dedicated the teachers are to the students. The dedication, hold on a minute. Hello? Mr. Core, Yes, Coach Cavada. Oh, so you're saying that I won't get any APPR credits for doing the video for the staff recognition? Coach Dopp thought maybe domain C. No? You sure you don't want to check with Kathy on that? Okay, all right, thank you. Ooh, awkward. Yeah, dedication, I gotta go. The most positive change for me over the last couple of years being in the athletic department has been the success of our athletic programs under Coach Dopp's direction. Right now, we are the top school athletically in the Suburban Council, if not the area.
I was asked to play with Dr. Moore and Mr. V and a bunch of other people, and that was really refreshing because my secret life is being a musician. So it was really cool to be able to show my talents to my cohorts and the district, basically. Over the years, I've seen how basic walls have just been broken as far as communication between departments and stuff. You know, there's more camaraderie between custodial maintenance and food service, and everybody's willing to help each other out. So it's more like basically, you know, could be like a family.
I'm from Maplewood, and one day, it was on the anniversary of 9/11, by the way, it was the following year, and I let my dog out, and she came back, and so I was like, what is that stench? What is that stench? So, of course, like I always do, I went to work anyway, and then this is what I got. They all showed up. It turns out I was smelling up the whole building. So yeah, that's pretty memorable. I never had a supervisor that knew what I was doing. So I was really out there on my own, and now I got some guidance, and I feel like I've really grown as a teacher.
I have so many good experiences with students throughout the years that I always think about, but there's one that really stands out in my mind that's very special. It happened actually in the early part of my teaching career when I was at the junior high, and I had a student who had a lot of challenges, and she could present in very difficult ways during the school year. And I worked really hard, but it was one of those situations where I was never really sure that I was reaching her. And it was also the year that I was buying a house for the first time. And I remember on the last day of school that she came up to me and very gruffly put something on my desk. And it looked like a ball of newspaper. And she said, I want you to open it. And when I opened it, I realized the wrapping was newspaper, and I took the newspaper off, and it was this little ceramic house. And she'd written me this note about how she understood how it was so important to have a house of your own because you could be who you wanted to be, and how she hoped one day she could have a house of her own so she could be the person she wanted to be. And I'll just never forget that because it reminds me of the power we have as teachers, that we're touching lives and we're influencing children even when we don't realize it's happening. I think one of the things I love most about working at North Colonie, whether it was as a teacher or as an administrator, is that we have such a can-do spirit and we have such a team spirit. From the time I first started here, and I had a team of teachers who were so experienced at the junior high who, you know, I'm probably here today because of what they did to save me as a young teacher who didn't know any better, to my colleagues at the high school, to the teachers I work with now. Everybody is willing to work together in the best interests of kids. And I know that sounds really cliched, but I feel like right now with all the mandates that are coming down and how difficult it is, instead of just really retreating, I think people have really banded together. And we're always here and we're always pushing each other. We're always thinking about the next good idea and the ways that we can work together to best help students. And as a result of that, I have formed lasting memories and great friendships with people for whom I have tremendous respect, who work so hard every day to do the right thing by kids. And I'm so proud to be a part of this district.
Just my memorable moments are working with the kids. I like the kids. One of the most positive things I've seen in the last 20 years of working here is that we now have a human resources officer. If you have any problems whatsoever, you can go to that human resources officer and you're usually resolved.
I would have to say that the experience with the children on the bus. There's times you think that what you're doing doesn't matter, and then one of the children just will surprise you by something they've said, or a reaction to something you've said in such a positive way that it just goes to the core of you. So I would have to say the children that we service. Even in where I work in the transportation department, there's an open door feeling that you can go in and talk to your bosses if you have a problem. And I find that even in HR and through the district, and we work together really well. So that you can be open and go in with a question and be sure you're going to receive an answer for that question. So that was something that I think is a real positive thing compared to when I started.
My most memorable experience was working with the 7th and 8th grade Russian students at Shaker Junior High School on painting the Russian magic mural. It's 29 feet wide, and it was really a great experience working with them to design it and to paint it. And that all dovetailed together with the program with the 6th graders, and we had a storyteller come in and work with them, and it just expanded into the mural, and it was a really great experience. One thing that's really been fun is the increase with technology, how much more you can do in one lesson because when everything works right, it's so much more fun than running on the chalkboard or the overhead projector. Now we have the projector hooked up to the computer and you can do smart notebook, and I think it's really improved what you can present to the children and what they can take in and what they can give back.
I think one of the most memorable moments, well, there's so many, but I just think it's the students and the parents and the faculty that I've met. It's all been pretty great. When I first started nursing, we never had full-time coverage in the parochial schools, and now they do. And that has been a great plus for North Colony, because the principals and the families and the students and the faculty kind of depend on us being at the school. We've become their security blanket, so to speak, so that's been a great plus for us.
I had a little kindergartner that was getting off the bus, and I said to him, "Stop, you don't have your backpack." And he looked back over his shoulder and he said, "Oh, it got away." I've been driving special needs for these 20 years, and when we started driving the buses, the securement was to the rear of the seat. So it actually ran through the wheels behind the child that was sitting there. And there wasn't any shoulder strap. It was just that one little peculiar way that it was a scissor type of securement. And now we have these wonderful hitch up with latch that you can ratchet down, and one on either front and one on either back, and then a lovely strap that makes them very secure as they're being transported by us.
It's really been the opportunity to work with so many different people. So many students have touched my life and enriched my life in so many different ways, and I hope vice versa. And then the colleagues that I've had the opportunity to work with, it's been wonderful too. But when I started teaching, we were all paper and pencil, and now the access to technology is incredible. We can engage students in so many different ways of learning new ideas and skills and concepts.